We live in a generation today which is lazy.
I have the pleasure of welcoming back for a second time. I don't often do this. For a second time, Sam Vanderpump.
I think the best form of education is just knowledge. University is only ever going to open the doors, but it doesn't mean it's the end all. You've got to have the flair, you've got to have the drive, but that doesn't mean you can't develop that flair. Let's be honest, the generation is lazy. Everyone thinks they deserve more. Everyone watches social media and feels like, oh, why do they have it and I don't? It's because they have taught themselves to want more. If you want it, you can go out there and get it. We live in a very lazy generation where people sit at home, they flick through social media and they blame the world. It's all about routine, right? If you teach yourself every single day to get up and have that flair and push yourself out of the norm and have that flair inside of you, then after a while, it becomes part of you.
What is tough for people is, like you say, they're looking at all this, oh my God, why have I not got that? How have I not achieved it? And then people are expecting to cut corners, because there are a few things recently where people have reached out to me and they've said, can I use this or can I just do this? And instantly it's just like, that's cutting corners.
Yeah, they all want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
They want a shortcut. They want it easy. They see the good stuff. They see it online. They see it on social media and they think, how do I get there quickly? But no, you've got to go through all the turmoil, all the ups and downs. No one gets it quick. Taking a risk is the element of life, though. You're only put on this earth once. You've got to take that risk. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to reach 70 years of age and go, oh, I didn't take that risk. I never tried it. You've got one life, you've got one chance. Take the risk, see what happens, and if it fails, it fails. You can always go back to what you were doing. You can always find another job. But one thing you don't have an unlimited resource of is time. So don't waste it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to today's podcast. I'd like to say a big thank you to Casita Properties, the UK leading property company when it comes to off-market discrete buy-to-let sales. All the links in the description as usual. I have the pleasure of welcoming back for a second time. I don't often do this. For a second time, Sam Vanderpump. We're just going to have some fun, basically.
Isn't that the point of this?
that is the point, mate. But we are also going to offer value. We were, talking about what we can kind of give back to everyone that's watching. But at the same time, yes, absolutely, we're going to have some fun with this because I think that's what we do best on this going forward. So, look, for anyone who didn't watch part one, I will include it. It will pop up above my head somewhere. Go check it out so you know more about Sam Vanderpump. But what we are going to talk about today is something that I'm covering off on a lot of content, and it's opportunity in terms of, if you don't know what you don't know, you're not really seeing much opportunity. However, business, entrepreneurship, money, personal life, professional life, it's all there for the taking. You've just got to poke your head through the door and actually learn about it. So let's start with seeing opportunity, educating yourself, actually getting yourself out there if you want a little bit more.
I think it's available for everyone, isn't it? You know, the world is your oyster. It's all about your drive. If you've got the drive there, you want to educate yourself, the tools are there. You just got to utilize them. I think the best form of education is just knowledge. You know, there's some form of intelligence, but it's all about someone's intelligence is made up about your knowledge. So if you've got all the information out there, if you want to put the effort in, you want to go gain that knowledge, learn about something, and then you're going to be one of the smartest people in the room. Yeah. If you read variety of sources, then you're going to have all of that information in the back of your head when you want to talk about something.
Yeah, it's very hard if you apply yourself about learning stuff, podcasts, YouTube, Audible. It's very hard to go and do that and not learn and become a better version of yourself.
I feel like it's experience as well. Like I always relate it to obviously what I do, which is currency exchange, broker, sales, and we start off, and even I myself, I started off in the office. And I knew nothing about foreign exchange. I was about 18 years of age, went into the office, knew nothing about it, was handed a script, was handed a booklet of information, and I absorbed that. Like a sponge, I absorbed all that information, took it all in, and repeated it. So experience and absorbing information. And look, only took 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 years later, I've sold one company, got another company, and I think I'm probably one of the most knowledgeable people around foreign exchange out there.
I said this on our first interview, and we've said it multiple times, me and Paul. And I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people about you, and what really stuck out for us is, I said it on the podcast, how well you deliver things, your knowledge, the fact that you're very driven and that it's quite clear that you're willing to absorb a lot of information. And I think that's a common trait amongst most business owners or entrepreneurs, or certainly people that have got to a stage in their life where, do you know what, I'm going to change things now. You suddenly become that sponge where you're like, I just want to learn. Whether I agree or disagree with you, I'm going to form that middle decision, but I'm going to learn the positives and the negatives, because I can't remember who said it, but you learn from some of your unhappiest customers, for example. So you learn from the good and the bad, and then you can make adjustments. And I think there is too much learning to be done, and you can do it at speed. Like if we want to learn really quick, it doesn't have to take weeks and months. You could learn a lot in a day.
Also, like when you say you learn at speed, a prime example, I related to myself. I go back to, I used to love plays. I wanted to be an actor when I was growing up. And I went to a theatre school. It was about, I was handed a script, and a day later, I remembered all the lines because I sat there and rehearsed that and did not move until every line was solid in my head. It got to a point where there's actually a school play of me when I'm about 4 years of age, and I'm actually saying other people's lines in that play. And and my mum comes out of the play at the end. She goes, "You're really, really good. You knew everyone else's lines as well." I was like, "Oh, I don't think it was meant to be obvious that I knew everyone else's lines." But yeah, one thing I also say is you're a product of your environment, right? I was watching actually one of your podcasts the other day, which was talking about university, whether you needed to go to university. And one of the kids replied, I have to go. I went to university because it's what everyone does. It's education. And it's funny that it's normalized, and you feel like you follow the university route because everyone in his social circle followed the university route.
It's funny you use that, because that video has popped. It's where I street interviewed 3 guys, 3 young lads, and a lot of the answers were the same. It came down to effort, and you've hit the nail on the head. And I can't reply to everyone, but a lot of the replies that I do is, I'm never bashing uni. I'm never bashing formal education. None of us who talk off of camera are bashing formal education, because it's a thing. Like, I want my son to go through and do as well as he can in grades and stuff like that. But it's a case of there is so much available. And I think with a bit of drive, good environment, I think, is the top. I think your environment really dictates where you go. And if you have good people around you, and like yourself, I can only imagine that if people spend a lot of time around you, one, you're going to have a lot of fun, because I can tell you that now. But 2, there is that feeling of, you've got youth in you, you're aspiring for more, and it's very contagious. Like, if you hang around with bad people, you're going to end up very similar to what they're doing. If you hang around with good people, like, it's so simple.
And reflecting on that, it was actually a question you asked me last time. Why have I started my own business? And it's like I said to you, I said to you last time, it was because everyone around me had started their own business. So I felt that was the norm, to start your own business. I look at it today and I look around me and that's not actually a norm. I was very privileged to be in a situation where, all my friends had their own businesses, all my family had their own businesses. So in my head, I built up a custom, which was, it was the norm to have your own business. And don't get me wrong, I don't think I'd ever slate university, even though I didn't go myself. I think university is only ever going to open the doors, but it doesn't mean it's the end all. You look at someone like my brother, for example. He is an academic. He was straight A-star student in GCSEs, straight A-stars and A-levels, went to Cambridge, got his first in Cambridge and his university degree. And, he now has 2 academic jobs. One, he's taught himself how to code, and another one, he's a political analyst, so to speak. And for him, academia was the route, university was the route, because he gained all this knowledge from university to be able to do the jobs he was today. But that wasn't the end all. He could still do what I could do, and he's opened the doors, but maybe he wouldn't be where I was now, because I'd started 7 years ago, and he would have only started, let's say, if he was my age, last year, a year or 2 ago, let's say. So he'd be 5 years behind me.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, is there? It's all about the individual.
There is no right or wrong. But, when we are in a world where people like to complain, people like to make excuses, there is a point where as a content creator, you want to put out stuff where you sort of turn around to people. And don't get me wrong, these are snippets. Like, this is a full podcast. We're going to cut it up to snips. It's going to do some views, and people will base their opinion on the context that we put out and for that short clip. But when you look beyond that and you go to do a little bit of research and you listen to the full thing, there's a lot of reasoning behind what we're saying. uni isn't wrong, so a formal education. But like Jim Rohn said, and I love listening to Jim Rohn, I struggle to listen to some Americans because of the accent, but Jim Rohn is someone who I can close my eyes and really listen to and get sort of really involved into what he's saying. And he's always said that formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
It is true, because you are, like Tyrone Ash said, he said it perfectly, your results are driven on what you perform as an individual, as an entrepreneur. So if you have a great month, you can tap yourself on the back and say, do you know what, I was my biggest cheerleader, look what's paid off. And if you have a crap month, you've only got yourself to blame. And I think that's where people are like, oh, that's a big responsibility. I think you've got to have it in you. I mean, what do you reckon? Have you got to have that flair?
Yeah, and I'm, you know what? You've got to have the flair. You've got to have the drive. But that doesn't mean you can't develop that flair.
Yeah.
So, and we live in a generation today which is lazy. Let's be honest. The generation is lazy. Everyone thinks they deserve more. Everyone watches social media and feels like, oh, why do they have it and I don't? It's because they have taught themselves to want more. If you want it, you can go out there and get it. We live in a very lazy generation where people sit at home, they flick through social media and they blame the world. They don't get off their backside. They blame the world, and they don't actually realize that they are the ones that can change it. And when I say, people go, oh, I don't have that flair. Well, I actually think, or the fire, or the gift of the gab, I think that's also, it's knowledge, that is.
Yeah.
Because it's all about routine, right? If you teach yourself every single day to get up and have that flair and push yourself out of the out of the norm and have that flair inside of you, then after a while, it becomes part of you. Mental health is a massive thing as well, right?
Yeah.
And it's very quickly you can go in your spiral downwards. So if you practice something every single day, you'll make sure you'll go upwards, and it'll become your normal daily activity.
And it all interlinks. You mentioned about mental health, being proactive and doing great things. There is a big part of mental health, and not turning it. I'm a big believer in, let's discuss it and address it, but maybe not make it as big as what it needs to be, so you can really move forward. Because I think, we spoke, didn't we, a few weeks back and stuff like that. And I think it's, we both spoke about, you've got to move forward. You've got to keep that direction heading. You can acknowledge things and things are going to come in, but keep moving forward. Don't linger, don't go back, because that's when it gets a little bit tricky. I think what is tough for people is, like you say, they're looking at all this, oh my God, why have I not got that? How have I not achieved it? And then people are expecting to cut corners, because there are a few things recently where people have reached out to me and they've said, can I use this, or can I just do this? And instantly it's just like, that's cutting corners.
Yeah. They all want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
They want a shortcut. They want it easy.
Yeah.
But that's because they see it someone, oh, let's go Jake Paul, Logan Paul. They see them and they go, oh, they posted a few YouTube videos and now they're worth like 100 million. Okay, firstly, that's one out of literally a billion.
Yeah.
And secondly, they went through a long slog of actually, putting it out there, putting a lot of content out there, but you don't see them when they're putting in that graft. You see them years later when they're now, very, very, very rich young chaps.
Yeah.
And people they see the good stuff, they see it online, they see it on social media, and they think, how do I get there quickly? But no, you've got to go through all the turmoil, all the ups and downs. No one gets it quick.
No. And it's funny you say about 7 years. Julius Dean, who I recently interviewed, he said his period was 7 years. I would say for me, we're pushing on about 8 years it was for me to really make traction. And Paul's playing his phone in the background. Paul, can you leave? Jeremy, can you please remove Paul from the studio? I do apologise, Sam.
No, it's fine.
Some people are so unprofessional.
I think he was giving a bit of a theme tune to actually what you were saying.
He was.
Yeah.
Creating suspense.
Costello Properties, everyone. But no, I think there's that time period. I am definitely seeing people who are younger, driven and determined. A lot of them are saying in between this period of about 7 to 9 years. So if anyone's watching and actually thinking, oh God, when does success come? When does financials happen? I would base it on, you've got to put this in for 5+ years.
Oh, I think I saw a decade. I think 10 years. I can't remember who I watched online and they said it's 10 years, decade.
Yeah.
And, one thing I also say to myself, and this helps me get through the bad times of the downs of business and the parts where you're thinking, I work in an industry which is very up and down. Brokering, sales. 1 month, we can do very, very high values, and next month we can be doing a third of that, especially over Christmas. I think we did a third of what we did in November. And what you have to say to that, and then also we're trying to raise money for this new business, and we hit bumps along the way where we've gone a month or two without raising money. So there are bumps along the way. We sit here and we say we've done well, but I'm having hard times, but also good times along the way. What I say to myself when you hit those hard times is, I'm one hard time closer to my next success.
Yeah.
Because let's say you have to go through 10 failures to hit your one success, or 10 bad things hit your one success. Every time you hit one of those bad things, I'm one bad thing closer to my next good thing. I
love that. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something I haven't done. No, we're not, because I'm live streaming. we're going to do something. I watched a clip yesterday. Did I send it to you? The hardship clip. Check your WhatsApp. Have a quick look. I think I sent it to you. If we have got it, I'm going to play it, because this is so true. If you go yesterday, I think I sent you 2 clips. If you just have a look, and then we're going to keep this in there. But I really also believe that is when you go through these hard times, and look, for anyone that is sort of stepping into this world of trying to do, can I just borrow your phone on one of the clips? So I'm going to play this and we can merge this in somehow. But one of these, was it 1 clip or 2 clip I sent you? No, it wasn't that. I thought I sent you another one. I can't remember who I sent it to then. I sent 2. But there's a clip, and it basically just said that when you come up against the hard times, that was sent to you because you want this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to test you. And then in terms of personal problems, I sent that to you to make you a better person. Yeah. All these things really happen, and you do look back and you think, if I hadn't gone through that certain time, I wouldn't have gone down this lane, or I wouldn't have made this decision. Or just something for me as well is just to be a better person. Because I can tell you now, it takes so much more effort to hate on people and put people down or try and be negative than it does just to go, cool, awesome, hope you do really well, and just be a likable person.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's harder to be nasty.
Yeah.
It's harder to actually, it's effort. I think, there's a thing about social media that obviously the stigma behind it at the moment and the bad sides of it. I mean, okay, use social media. Use it for business like we're doing here. We're promoting good things. We're enhancing good values. We're promoting good values. There's using social media to, talk to friends. And then there's, maybe overusing social media, which can become a little bit negative. It's got to be a whole new kind of low where you sit on social media and you have to say bad stuff about other people. I mean, what kind of low are you as a person? What low times are you in as a person to feel like I've got to sit here at home and say nasty things about other people? I mean, that's just sad. I actually feel desperately sorry for them. And I'm not that I have a huge social media following, but I've never obviously witnessed that kind of behavior. I've friends who have higher social media followings, and they do see this kind of behavior, and I'm like, they get kind of upset. And I was like, why? Look, like, let's say some of my friends are in, Dubai, got a huge social media following, sitting on the back of a boat. I was like, you are in one of the best locations. Look at where your life is. The reason they are hating is because look at where you are right now. If we saw a snippet into their life, and then you click on the profile, and sometimes it's surprising. It's Grandma Jane or Karen, Grandma Karen, 60 or something, 17-something-year-old, and she's sat at home she looks like she's got a nice family, but she is yelling abuse at you, a 25-year-old, on the back, because you're on the back of a boat.
God damn you, Karen.
It's like, what's wrong with this Karen, hey?
Don't even get me started on Dorothy and Barbara.
Yeah.
We all know Barbara.
It's just some people. I don't understand it. I feel desperately sorry for them, though.
I think it comes down to, there's people who tend to hate on other people or don't like to see journeys progress. It's normally, I think it's become quite apparent to me that it's just lack of confidence in themselves, a bit of low self-esteem, and a bit of bitterness that maybe time has passed in their life where they've thought, had I have been bold and gone for it, maybe I could have done something. And I think there's regret in that.
As my mum always used to tell me when I was younger, they're only jealous, Sam.
Well, look at you, young, successful. What was there not to be?
Yeah, that title was interesting.
You like that?
I'll tell you what, I did get a bit. I did. You know what? I witnessed some hate. Someone messaged me and was like, "You're not young. You're not successful. You're not this." I was like, "Okay, so you're just literally just repeating and just putting no in front of it." I was like, "That hurts." I was like,
But you know what? I'll sit here and say you are successful, and success is different. we think of success as the finance. That's what everyone thinks success is. We were talking off camera, and I've really come to believe this, that actually, do you know what success is for me? It's being able to sit here with someone like you and talk about this, and I enjoyed doing this, and we're having a laugh, and the journey. Because what I did realize, I said before Christmas, I said I'd love to get to 100k on TikTok, and I'm totally disconnected, by the way, with social media. I get no ego rub from it. I literally couldn't give a monkey's, but I did say I'd like to get there because I do have an end goal in terms of how passively I'd like to set this platform up. And then I achieved 100k on TikTok morning, on Christmas morning. But the goalpost move, that wasn't the success.
Didn't I say this to you last time? I think I said to you last time was, every time you hit one of your goals, then you move the goalpost. And that's why we've got to enjoy that journey.
Yeah, and I think the journey is a part of the success, and also taking the risks and having great conversation along the way, learning from people, doing things like this. I think it's incredible. I think it's good fun. We have a laugh. Let's just hop into life balance, because that's something that I've spoken to a lot of the people that follow me in terms of Aaron. I'm finding it quite overwhelming. I really want to start a business. I've got the drive, but my family's getting fed up. People are hating on me and stuff like this. And we spoke about pedal to the metal. You've really got to go for it. I really believe that you need to find time in your life to go for this. If people are short on time, working through the night, putting in long hours, what's your thoughts on all of this?
I don't believe there is a shortness in time, because there's always something you can do less of, and you can start it off small. It very much depends on the nature of the beast as well. Let's say you're trying to create a sales company where let's say you've got 10 sales a day you need to do, which is going to take an hour. So you can just build on it every single day. There's no shortage of time. You can always shorten times in another area. Make sure you watch TV for a bit less. Get up an hour earlier in the day. There's always going to be an extra hour you can utilize. And I'm going to be a cynic here. Someone who says there's not enough time in a day is just being blimming lazy. So get off your backside and just put some more effort in. Yeah,
it's like money management when people go, I haven't got enough money. Right, okay, let's lay out all your finances. Let's see where you're spending. Okay, so you got 2 curries a month. You've got this, you've got that. You're paying for Adobe Pro. When was the last time you used that? So there's always tweaks that can be made. And I think it's exactly the same in time that it does. Do you know what winds me up? It doesn't wind me up because I'm giving satisfaction to them. But some comments where I talk about finances or money, or we talk about starting a business, there are some people that will actually sit there and go, oh, it's all right, he comes from a rich family. I can tell you now, I come from no money. Literally, I'm covered in tattoos. I had a very different background. I'm literally covered in tattoos. Used to be a skinhead. Believe me, I don't come from a penny. My mum and dad will back that up. I talk different now because I talk better. I didn't used to talk like this 11 years ago. When I'm around Paul, I talk very different. He lowers me. But when I'm not around Paul, and I'm people like yourself, but my speech has improved. And people are funny because they go, listen to the way he talks. Yeah, but look at me. I'm covered in tattoos. I don't it doesn't go. I've learned this over time. I've adapted it because it opens more doors to me. And I think it's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the way you speak is, we live in a world, unfortunately, where actually the tattoos thing, we live in a world today which is very much accustomed to tattoos, so it doesn't close any doors. The tattoos, I think, where you've got, so many celebrities nowadays, very successful celebrities, Justin Bieber, all these kind of guys, head to toe in tattoos, and they present themselves well. Tattoos has become more acceptable, I think. Yeah. It's like an art.
It's overlooked, yeah.
It's overlooked. Speech, though, you're still incredibly judged on the way you speak today.
Massively.
Incredibly. You're still incredibly judged on it today.
It is, and it's funny because then people will listen to the way that you talk, and then they'll be like, "Oh, well, he's had it easy." That's one thing that always cracks me up. They've had it easy, or they've had it easy. You can't. Do you know what? It's very rare that I'll answer those people. Yeah. If it's a bit of a sparky comment and it's quite funny and it made me chuckle, because to be honest, I laugh at most things. I mean, by the way, if anyone leaves me a bad comment, I'll lay there in my birthday suit in the morning, and that's when I reply to you. But so I have a bit of a laugh with it. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, Sam. I thrive on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite
Throw
bolshy.
it at me.
I mean, if these people were in front of me, I would be quite bolshy. I'll go back to maybe a little bit of my roots and stuff
Go
like
back
that.
a bit straight on them.
Yeah. But at the same time, if we ever go out for a drink, we're just gonna. That's on the cards. That's gonna be a messy one. Paul's nodding. Jez is like, get me in. Faye's like, I'll record. Tom's like,
Can we add this to the podcast?
yeah, cut straight in there. But
Love it.
yeah, it is funny because I do think when people turn around and say it's all right for you, I can never be bothered to reply because they don't know the yards that go in behind the scenes.
Yeah, no one else. No one ever does. They only ever see the good stuff. No one ever, because and everyone says this. Everyone knows this. But who posts the bad times on social media?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You wouldn't do that. So, and you know what? You say this to yourself. You say it to other people. But you sit there at times, as we all do, and you look at someone in a better position than you on social media, and you go, that looks, they're so lucky, or how do they have it? Their life looks so amazing. But it's like, you say to yourself, I know for a fact that they're not showing their hard times and they're not showing them being very, very sad or this or that, It is very funny. You say it to yourself, but it's getting your head around it to actually say it to believe yourself.
I know you want to turn around to some people and say, look, yards are being put in behind closed doors. Like what? I mean, there's a balance to show some of the good, the bad, the ugly. But Paul will know exactly who I'm on about. You don't want to see the morbid stuff every day because you unfollow people who just share morbid stuff every day because you're like, my God, you're bringing me. I get it. I get the message, but the sad music and so I think if you're going to put something out, the value has to be more uplifting and kind of inspiring. I'm just going to quickly look at Paul while I say this. So Sam, obviously in business, relationships are tough. Sam's like, so we won't go in there. But look, for the average, let's I just want to touch on sort of where we were before. Not too much, but I want to touch on is that you can be married, you can be in partnerships and stuff like that, but you have to be your biggest cheerleader in this game.
Yes.
You can't have a plan B if you are really going to go at this.
Yes.
And sometimes it can seem like someone who's in business, a businesswoman or a businessman, it seems perhaps to the other person, it's a little bit of a selfish road and everyone's being affected. But business can set a family up so much more than, say, employment. Not knocking employment, but it has got a wider reach in terms of passively things could be set up.
On business, there is no limit.
Yeah.
And employment, you're probably looking 100 grand to 200 grand a year max, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where, business, you can reach millions a year and more. You can go up to billions if you really smash it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier owning your own business, and also because of tax advantages. Once you start to set up your own business, you can have tax advantages. Let's say if you run the business from Dubai, you can live in a tax-free zone. If you all of a sudden want to move country, your business can revolve around your life. So there's a lot of advantages with business.
What would you say to the people that are having conversations? Because that is something, again, I get asked questions saying, hey mate, I'm looking to set this up. The only thing is I've got a family life. My missus is not too keen on me starting a business and I want to jump into it, but I don't want to rock the boat.
Why are they not keen? What's the exact reason? Because my wife's not keen because there's going to be the financial instability at first, or because of the time and effort?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, Paul, it takes time, doesn't it? It's like there's a lot of effort that goes into it. I mean, especially if you're a startup business. I always say to people, look, if you're going to start this, just know for the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to be hands-on. Any time you have, you need to put this in. As you said on part one, if you need to fly off somewhere, I'm sorry, I've got to do it. But it's a long term. It's like what we could have, but then caveat on the other side, it's like, yeah, but what if it all goes wrong? So kind of what's your views on all of that?
It's going to be a risk, obviously. Taking a risk is the element of life, though. You're only put on this earth once. You've got to take that risk. What are you going to do? You're going to reach 70 years of age and go, oh, I didn't take that risk. I never tried it. You've got one life, you've got one chance. Take the risk, see what happens, And if it fails, and you'll have to go back. You can always go back to what you were doing. You can always find another job, but you can't. One thing you don't have an unlimited resource of is time. So don't waste it.
Yeah. And what about mindset? Let's talk about that, because it's very up and down, isn't it? Like some days you can even doubt why you're doing the whole thing. Do you ever have days?
Oh, yeah.
I know that I do. I sit there and I go, I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest with you. And I use the term of, I might as well go on read.com and become a driver or something, because you lose clarity sometimes on certain days, and then it's very hard to kind of figure out. You're doing so much and you don't really know what you're doing, and I'm guilty of having those days, but I have learned to counter that, and I think you said it perfectly, rebound time. So how do you deal with the days where you question yourself?
You know what? It's an interesting one. When you question yourself, you need to just remember why you started it. You need to reflect and just sort of remember why you started everything, why you wanted to be here, and remember all the positives from it. You need to just refresh your mind. You need to sort of go reset. Let's remember everything, why I'm here, why I've started this, where I want to be. It's quite a hard one though, because I think, and this ties in with mental health. If you can't, that's the way to phrase it, it ties in with mental health in the sense that, I'm losing my train of thought now, trying to
tie it in.
Yeah. You've got to just always be positive, and you've got to push yourself. You really do. Yeah.
You do. I think being your biggest cheerleader can sometimes come across as a bit arrogant. It can come across of, he's so full of himself, or she's full of herself. But at the end of the day, when tough, I think you develop that layer of kind of, we're going to do this, and you're talking to yourself, because when you come up against these days of people are doubting you, family members are questioning what's going on, friends have no idea what you do, and you have to go into this element of your own bubble. If you're not on board nearly every single day, it's very hard to be the one that's going to drive however much you've got going on, because if you've got multiple plates spinning and you're waking up more so on days where you don't believe yourself, I don't think the whole thing's possible. You need to wake up quite confident and go, right, I had a bad day yesterday, but fuck me, I'm ready to go now.
This is why I do things like, so when I wake up in the morning, I always believe in, if I keep the same routine, which puts me in a positive mindset, then I start my day fresh. So I wake up in the morning, I make sure I make my bed. When I'm working from home, I put a shirt on. I actually try and dress smarter when I'm at home rather than when I'm going out sometimes, because I feel like if I sit there in my tracksuit, I'm going to be too relaxed. I'm not going to feel like I'm actually working at home. So I'll get up, make my bed, put a shirt on, make sure I get all my chores done before 8 a.m., and then I'll start my work day. And then I feel fresh. If I sleep in till 8:30 and I don't do any of my chores, and I stroll out of bed, don't make bed, in my pajamas, sort of sit at my computer, I feel lethargic and lazy. And that's the mindset right there. So I feel like there is things you need to do to keep your mindset strong. Yeah. And that also includes going to the gym. I feel like the gym and personal fitness is a massive thing.
Oh my God.
100%. The fitter you are, the better you are in life. And that's just a fact. I will hear nothing else about, be confident in your body shape. What a load of rubbish. I'm sorry. Fitness is everything.
Yeah.
When you're fit, your mind's fit, and you are stronger as a human being. And that's with everything in life.
Sacrifice habits and fitness are absolutely key. I would say for anyone that I know that is in business and is ripped, jacked, in good shape, they're killing it. They're smashing it because they're strong in body, strong in mind. And anyone who's in great shape, whether they're on steroids or whether they're off steroids, makes no odds.
Yeah.
As
you still got to have the discipline.
Yeah, well, we've got politicians doing sniff. You can't moan about. Bodybuilders doing steroids as if they're doing it healthy. Yeah. So,
well, I think if you go to the bodybuilders doing steroids, they're actually they're speaking to doctors, a lot of them, and doing it properly. That's
blood
the funny
tests.
thing.
They're eating clean, high water, 4-5 liters, flushing out. Doing
proper
courses.
cycles and everything. Actually, if anything, I think those guys are even stronger mentally than most, because they are so determined that they are willing to get the best advice to make sure that their body shape is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, look at someone like I know we're talking the top of the the creme de la creme of bodybuilders, top of the game.
Yeah.
But look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
He was one of the best, debatably one of the best bodybuilders of all time,
hands down.
And now he's got such a strong mind. He's left the bodybuilding. He's done acting. He's been a politician. He now does motivational speaking. But that's because he's got a strong mind. And a lot of people, they come out of this, this sort of. You look at business people, and a lot of them go through. They actually become successful, and they say once they get into shape, they become even more successful.
Yeah, and look, if anyone's wondering how me and Sam are so unbelievably jacked, what we will do is on a part 3. This is where we're doing part 3 now. We're going to go to Muscle Works, Bethnal Green. Friend of mine, Sav, who owns it. We're going to do a part 3, and we're going to go through and we're going to lift some iron. And obviously, the problem is we're going to intimidate a lot of people. Yeah. So we do have to bear that in mind.
You know what?
Let's try and look smaller. Maybe sort of Paul's frame.
I won't pull the 50s out.
What notes? So you going toilet?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll keep them.
I do love. I give such a strong, harsh opinion. Yeah, if you're not in good shape, leave it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here probably with a little bit of a beer belly from last night.
No, he's ripped. But that's why we're doing part 3 now, by the way. So Muscle Works, here we come.
Muscle Works, right.
I think fitness
Can we
is
just Photoshop my head onto her body?
We can. Yeah, no, we can do that. Yeah. We're going to put it on Tom's. So, by the way, we do that because he looks like Elvis, obviously.
Right. Yeah, I see
do you know, last time we came to the studio, we were waiting in the foyer there on the sofas, and normally everyone comes from reception. Mm-hmm. Tom, we were waiting there for about half an hour, and all of a sudden Tom just came out the toilet. No, the locker room. Right. Where did you come from?
Go from the back of the building.
Okay.
I don't know what gets up when he gets over there with the
toilet. We'll have a look in a minute. We'll go explore. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure, dude. Loads of value, good fun. Definitely up for a part 3 of Muscle Works. Like, genuinely, that would be hilarious. And for us, everyone who's watched, thanks so much. And dude, thanks for joining me again.
No, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. And part 3, maybe not Muscle Works, maybe Print Works.
Print Works, that's where we're doing it. We're going to do it. Awesome, everyone. We'll see you all very soon.